Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third annual WDC Annual General Meeting, reporting on the activities of WDC, the economic arm of the Washoe Tribe. It's all a pleasure to finally be here in person. Last year, I didn't make it. I was on the screen because I had COVID, so it's good to see everybody in person and meet a lot of you for the first time. I know a lot of some of the names, the families, having grown up at Stewart, I am familiar with faces or names, but not necessarily faces. This evening, we're going to go through, we have an agenda here. I don't know if you all have it or not, but generally we're going to go through our agenda. I request that you save your questions till the end. And then at the end of the whole meeting, we'll have food available to take home with you or eat here. So we're going to be going straight through, and probably the meeting itself will be maybe an hour and a half or so. So we don't want to waste everybody's time, dragging things on. So at this time, I'm going to have Hale Fillmore give a benediction for us. Hale.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just going to start off with a few words in Washoe. Kick this off right. Wiri demlo, wiri tagam haka, wiri pello haka, wiri memdawi tetlegi, tangao me ishki, lao mi bugayai urishka, wiri demlo met leginga, dao yahanga o mongoleza. O mistoto lihayash tangao le ia tangao o mongoliash miu washu metlegi mamanga hamoeza migam hahaweza miu tangao me ia meash de te yi huyegi le huleo gutesiwes diguwawa huyegi di hamu shukle huyushgaba di hamu ya le Tangao met yoash lo hamushuk lo le yushgabagi kletle. Ngang we tetlegi igi we gisa it luliaiti ishgerong gisa irai. Hamushuk tango met igi mongolishki lo mitle wushgaba de hamui le. Just a few words. Praying for our sustenance, our pine nuts, our tagam, our pello and memdewi. Pray that all our pine nut hills stay safe from these fires and keep growing strong. We have healthy forests like that. Praying for all of you Washoe out here. Good to see everybody. I want to welcome everyone. Pray that our little ones grow up strong and have the room and space that they need to grow well, and sustenance that we have always had as a people, and that we always have what we need to thrive. Pray that we work well together always, and for the future generations that we're not fighting amongst each other, that we can make good work happen, make good things happen for them. And that's all I'll say for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Hale. And I don't know if you all have an agenda or not, but basically, we're just going to introduce ourselves, the board. As you may or may not know, the board was reinstituted in 2021. We 5 board members were elected by the Tribal Council for varying terms. We've had 1 member replaced. We have a new member, Stan Smokey is our newest board member. We have 2 ex officio members from the Tribal Council who represent the Tribal Council on our board, Everett and Lydell. They attend all of our meetings and have input into the meetings, and I think we both get a lot of exchange of good information from both sides. I'm going to start. First of all, I think I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Ray Brown. I'm a tribal member. My family ties were, my father was a Washoe. His aunt was Frances Brown, who some of the older gentlemen who lived and went to school at Stewart may recognize that name from the boys' dormitory. So she was quite a known factor there, but she was mean as a junkyard dog, but she had a heart of gold. And my grandparents was Annie Joe Brown and John Brown. He was also known as Captain Jack. It goes way back. I kind of lost track of the paper history of our family. Today, it's just my brother and I are the remaining Brown family. He has 2 children. He lives in Reno, and I live down in Monterey, California. And my wife, Terry, joined me, and she's my other half and keeps me going in my WDC activities. As I said, I grew up at Stewart, went to public school in Carson City, graduated and went to college at Oregon State. Graduated there and served in the Army as an Army officer in Germany for a couple of years. Got out, looked for a job and became a banker. I became a commercial banker in San Francisco, and after 45 years, I retired from banking. It was time to do something different, and so I thought I'd try retirement. During that same time, I was also on the board of directors of the National Center out of Mesa, Arizona, which is a national Indian organization promoting economic development, and I was on that board for 35 years, I believe. So that's kind of my background and my history. My primary objective as being a tribal member and with my business experience to really promote the well-being for the future of the Washoe tribe using my skill set and my history and experience to help the tribe move forward and sustain from a financial standpoint through the activities of WDC. And so at this point, I'm going to turn the microphone over to our other board members and let them introduce themselves and kind of go through the same explanation as I did, and then we'll skip down to the next agenda item. So mine is Nathan Bennett.
Well, thank you, Chairman. Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan Bennett. I'm the Vice Chairman for the Washoe Development Corporation. I'm also an enrolled tribal member. I've been on the board since it was reinstated back in 2021. My parents are Ike and Janice Bennett. I have 2 sisters and then two little children. I grew up in the Hungalalti Reservation up in Woodford, California. That's kind of where I spent all my time. Did a lot of hunting, fishing, playing sports. I then joined the military. Did a couple of tours, Iraq, Afghanistan. Came back, went to college at Southern Utah University, got my bachelor's in business management, did a little bit of aviation flying. I finished that up, came back, worked a little bit at the Washoe Tribe, then went to Fallon, Nevada, worked for a development corporation, the Tribal Development Corporation, kind of where I got a lot of my tribal business experience. So I kind of have over 10 plus years of HR experience. My goals here is to try to see the tribe being a little bit more, take one more step and being self-sustaining. And that's a little bit about myself. So the next person introduced is going to be Hale.
Ang maheji tigogum ho digum dialei washu itlo Hale digum dialei the bo itlo name's Hale Fillmore. My dad's Benny Fillmore, older brothers Herman, Hunter, Troy, and my sisters are Helen and Shannon Fillmore. Grew up here in Dreslerville. Grew up pine nut picking, wood cutting, Tagamasha, just up this way. And I always say for the past 8 years, I was in 2016, I moved to Southern California with my partner, and been raising up a little one who just graduated kindergarten. But while I was living down there, I was working in construction, worked as a contractor for years, and living down there amongst the reservations in Southern California really kind of opened me up to possibilities of development. And the type of business opportunities that other tribes have taken. Really eye-opening experience to see, you know, golf courses and transfer stations and you know, breweries and all kind of shops and the different ideas of development down there. But you know, I will say, working at WDC, we've kind of taken ideas from all over and incorporated them, made them our own, made them Washoe. And our goals include continuing to develop in a sustainable way that respects our Washoe history, culture, and you can see that in all of our projects and all of our community building. So that's just a little bit about myself. Currently, I'm living in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. Project manager for a remodeling company up there. Work with engineers and architects and manage different trades and crews to bring our projects to completion. And so that's part of the experience that I bring to the board. Additionally, growing up and going to the immersion school in Dresserville back in the 90s, spending a lot of time on the lands and with folks who were making real efforts to revitalize our language. Of course, everybody knows Herman, you know, doing a great job doing that kind of work. He's kind of my biggest teacher too. But that's also another aspect that I try to make sure and WDC prioritizes in incorporating into our work, language, culture at every step. So that's just a little bit about me, and pass it on to Curtis.
Anamaheji Curtis Kli'ia'a. I am the son of John Bertrand Kli'ia'a Unalauti and his brother Marvin Kli'ia'a. My mom, Lenora Scott, her first job out of Haskell was at Stewart, and that's how my parents met. There's my family is my siblings, Gloria Kli'ia'a, my brother John Kli'ia'a, and my late brother Paul, my sister Cassie. We live in Albuquerque. My dad passed young, and he was the superintendent at the Hickory Apache Reservation at Dulce. And so we moved down to Albuquerque. That's how I ended up in Albuquerque. I am very thankful to my mom, my Uncle Marvin, and my family. What they did for me being in Albuquerque was they always kept us in touch with our Washoe heritage people. You know, we've been rabbit hunting, pine nut picking, you know, and Dawaga, and you know, lots of we were always coming back, and I really credit my my Uncle Marvin and my mom, since I had lost my dad early. I retired from Sandia National Laboratories in Albuquerque. I've had a wonderful 41-year technical career, and I am very honored to bring that, what I can bring, both to Washoe Development Corporation, but also all of us, the tribe, whatever benefit I can bring forward. With that, this is home. And to everyone here, Amongui, I will pass this on to Director Stan Smokey.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Stan Smokey. I grew up here at Dresselville as a young kid, moved to Carson in 1985. My mom and dad were Remain and Eleanor Smokey. I have 4 brothers, a sister, and um, Aaron, Tony, and Remain Smokey Jr. and a late Remain Smokey Jr. and Linda Dunn was my sister. They're from Seattle. Smoke lived here. You guys know him as Smoke. Remain Smokey Jr. Anyway, I the newest member on the board here, and I bring the I don't know how to say it, but I've been around places and other tribes where I see tribes that started out with nothing, and now 10 years, 15 years down the road, I see these tribes are really prospering. Naturally, they're doing casinos, stuff like that, but I think that our tribe here has great land base for other things other than casinos. That's what I think we can do for our tribe. But I don't have much education. I took 4 years of American School of Diamond Cutting. I was here in town back in the 90s, early 90s, which took me on a little journey to Japan for 6 months. I became a diamond cutter, a master diamond cutter, moved back home, and then I was relocated to Santa Rosa, California, where I lived for 6 years making a living as a diamond cutter. I moved back home here to Carson and became it was called a radiokeratotomy blades, where you cut eyes, where you cut your eyes with diamond blades. I cut diamonds here for doing that for a few years, and then laser technology take over. So I was the last one in the door, so I was the first one out. So then I got into construction, which I did after high school, and which I still do now. I have my own construction business. I did my own diamond cutting business also too for 15 years out of my house. And but other than that, that's the extent of my education. The reason why I got on the board here is because I'm excited to see that the things that the WDC has done already. I wish we had a board like this when I was in council. I think we could have been a lot farther ahead than we are now, but my main thing on this board is to help our tribe move forward into the future. As I said before, when the council elected me, my main goal is to get the tribe on their own feet. I don't like living off of the government and basically with my hand out. I want to be able to see our tribe move forward and be free of all that stuff. So this is exciting for me to be on this board, and that's my intentions. Yep.
Thank you, Stan. And thank each of you for your background and history and why your desire to be on the WDC board working for the tribe. It's very informative. I did want to say that thanks to Albert, we have an audience online, I don't know how many we have, but City Joe sent out the word to all the off-reservation people to join in via telephone and electronically. So hopefully we have a group on the line. I don't know if we can. 4? Oh, 3. Oh, no, that's disappointing. But in any case, again, I just want to say again, if you do have questions, save them till the end. We'll try and get to them, and that applies to the people online. If you have a question, you can email it in to Wendy or Albert, and we'll try and get it answered. And if we don't get all the questions answered tonight, we'll get the answer for you and get it back out to the group. So we're not going to avoid not answering something. It just may not be tonight, but we will get an answer out to you. So at this point, we're going to go over the review of the year 2023, which is the purpose of our annual meeting. Each of the board members is going to explain one aspect of our activities, and then I'm going to sum it up with a discussion about our finances and how we're doing from a financial standpoint. Hale is going to talk about the Meeks Bay prospectus. Nathan's going to talk about the feasibility study that we had done for finding a tenant for this property here, since it is vacant and it's costing us money to keep it open until we do find a good, strong tenant. Curtis is going to talk about digital sovereignty a bit. Stan's going to talk about the ranch operations, and then I'll end it up talking about our financial efforts of our financial reporting and where we are and how we're doing in that arena. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Hale, and he will go in the background of the Meeks prospectus and how it resulted in the tribe winning the contract again to operate Meeks Bay. So Hale.
Your guys' Teams thing is not working online, by the way.
So I guess to begin, I just want to thank all the tribal membership that came, and give a special thanks to Tribal Council, and they're helped WDC kind of reorganize and become a board again in the midst of the pandemic, which was just a crazy time for tribal governance and tribal businesses, and there were a lot of moving parts, things going on, and at the same time dealing with tragedy, with sickness going around the communities. So in that trying time, I'm grateful for one opportunity that came out with living off res, being able to still tune in and participate in our tribal boards, because that's never an opportunity that off reservation member would have had access to before, or at least out of state. Able to participate and give back. So I'm appreciative for that initiative and the reestablishment of WDC in 2020. I think when we were first getting organized and kind of outlining our goals for what we wanted to see, happen with development in Washoe land, one thing that stood out was having a presence in the Tahoe Basin, and a huge opportunity that we had up there was to make Meeks Bay into the gem of Lake Tahoe, and to invest in it and make sure that that resort was becoming all it could be. So it was a very stressful time with our lease about to end, our lease with the Forest Service. And we knew we had a lot of work to do to get an application together to renew our lease up there. So we had a team, a task force of WDC management members and tribal council members, and plenty of tribal members that came and put our heads together and tackled submitting a huge packet to apply for that prospectus. And in 2023, we got the news that we were renewed the lease for 20 more years. So before that, I think it was a little bit stressful thinking of how do we address investing in Meeks Bay for the future when there's no certainty that we're going to renew this lease and be able to even hang on to this property. But now that we have the lease renewed, looking ahead, we have a huge opportunity, and we putting legwork in right now to make that resort all that it can be, and maximize its use, and have a resurgence of a Washoe presence at Lake Tahoe. I'm so grateful to have the Washishu at Dev Festival up there last year and this coming year. I think it's awesome to be able to kind of represent and have our gatherings on Washoe land that's not only ours historically, but we're managing it, controlling it right now. And so to not have to go through other entities up there, to have something that we're just able to provide access to the lake, access to Da'awaga, the edge of the lake, for our tribal members. It's something beautiful, and we intend to continue to invest in Meeks Bay and make it great. Some things that we're currently changing are how we make reservations, for example, going from 2022 to almost all of our reservations being call-in reservations. So somebody has to be at the phone on the other line taking messages, getting back to people and taking credit cards. We've changed to be able to compete with some of the other resorts in the area to have an online reservation-based system. So we are currently using rec.gov, which is mostly used for camping, state parks, and things like that. But we're the only resort on that website right now. So it's kind of something that's really new and novel for us. And I hope that anybody who's booking with rec.gov is having an amicable time. It's never easy when you're starting out with something new, but we're definitely headed in the right direction, especially addressing building relationships and trying to attract younger people to come and create a tradition and come into Meeks Bay and come in year after year. We've got to compete with other places that people can go and get all the amenities of a resort, when it's a lot easier to book online through things like Airbnb and sites like that. So we're planning on staying competitive and keeping Meeks Bay relevant and making it available to book from anywhere at any time, so that we're attracting as many people there as possible. One thing that I'll address is our relationship with the Forest Service up there. It's amicable. I'm grateful for being granted the prospectus again, and at the same time, it's a very paternal relationship, just like tribal governments with the United States government. It's a paternal relationship where we have to go through them to achieve our goals on our land, and we should be able to sustain it within ourselves and control it within ourselves. So things that we're running into, even we can't even set our own rates up there and charge people what other resorts around Lake Tahoe are charging, because the Forest Service will only allow us to raise rates in small increments year after year. We can't currently invest exactly where anywhere we want at the resort, because there's a lot of red tape that surrounds in investing in those properties, in those buildings. So we don't want to fall behind on any of that. We want to stay ahead of the curve and make sure that our place is top notch. But it's something that we're navigating, and we've got a great team to help with. And on the topic of investing in Meeks Bay, a huge thing that we want to see in the forthcoming years is investing in the utilities up there to be able to make it a year-round resort. Currently being open half the year, it's great, but we're missing out on, half of Tahoe's tourism is the snow sports, snow people that go up there for the winter to go ski and snowboard at the resorts up there. But looking ahead, we have a great relationship with the Palisades Tahoe, which is on that side of the lake too. And I think there's some strategic partnerships to really invest in up there. And once we're able to find the funding to make Meeks Bay a year-round resort, we could be making money up there every month instead of half the year. So those are huge priorities looking ahead. And essentially, WDC envisions a future where Washoe control Washoe land, all over the Tahoe Basin and the Carson Valley. So looking ahead, that's our priority, is to have a say in everything that's going on up there. Work with Tribal Council to make sure that we're hitting these goals from every angle, the tribal government and business entities, so that we're not only relevant, but we're taking over, I guess, taking things into our own hands up there. Another thing that could come with year-round amenities is having year-round employment and providing jobs for folks that are sustainable, that are going to last, instead of relying on short-term contracts. Although our program right now with training summer youth workers is great, and they're so helpful in making Meeks Bay what it is right now. We'd love to be able to provide year-round employment and more opportunities up there with that. That's about all I have for Meeks Bay right now. So thank you all.
Nathan?
Hello, everyone. I'm Nathan again. Like Hale was saying, I'd like to thank the tribal chairman, council, and everyone for coming and learning about some of the projects that WDC is working on. So I did the feasibility study. Well, I didn't. That's what I'm going to be talking about. So the Washoe Center, previously the casino, which was purchased in July 2023 from Porch Creek, Wind Creek Hospitality, with a negotiated price of the building for $2 million, which was less than the appraised value. The loan is the obligation of the Washoe Retail Enterprises as a borrower and the Washoe Development Corporation as a guarantor. It's not a direct obligation of the tribe and will not appear on any of the tribal financial statements. An outside marketing consulting group was selected to make a recommendation for the highest and best use of the building. We chose Klaus Robinson. They were selected due to their previous portfolios in tribal country. Their portfolio had a very diverse projects and were not just a cookie cutter like casinos and gas stations that many other tribes have, which is a big reason why they were selected for the feasibility study. So why are feasibility studies important? They help make informed decisions about the economic future and the viability of a project before investing significant time and money. A comprehensive feasibility study can distinguish between real economic opportunities and investments that could fail. So after asking for additional information to be added to the feasibility from them, we finally received the reports with all the information that we requested in March of 2024. So according to the feasibility study, some of the best uses are the building could be divided into 4 separate spaces for leases to 4 separate tenants, with about 3,000 square feet of usable space per tenant, plus a common shared area. And these spaces would be used for offices or retail, including food services. The facade of the building would be adjusted for appropriate signage if this option is chosen. Some of the office spaces could be pharmacies, drugstores, clothing, automobiles, electronics, full service restaurants, motorcycles, other powered transportation vehicles, beauty, cosmetics, and other outdoor businesses and activities were some of the top choices of the feasibility study. Another option that was in the study would be to lease a portion or all the building to a third party. This option would shift a portion of the operation risk away and reduce some of the time and capital investment required by WDC. Another option is to retry the casino venture with a different name. The site is already set up for a casino. No major remodeling would be required. Since there was a lack of marketing and the owners were more concerned about larger and more closer properties, this is one reason why that option came up. Another option is a gasino, which is to use a portion of the former casino and expand the amenities of the travel plaza next door. This would be adding a trucker's lounge, showers, and laundry. A limited number of gaming casinos or gaming machines would be offered in this casino building. The remaining spaces would be converted into a leasable space. If possible, there would be also spaces for RV hookups and parking for semis outside. Another development possibility is a food cooperative. The cooperative would use a former casino space to sell produce and meat grown and raised by the tribe, host an outdoor summer's farmers market, and support a farm-to-table restaurant idea. The cooperative would be one component of a range of tribal programs to promote regenerative agriculture, food sovereignty, fitness, nutrition, and a health clinic. So these are some of the main ideas that were in the feasibility study. As WDC wants to make an informed decision on which direction to go, this is why we chose a feasibility study. So I want to thank you everyone for your time again, like I said.
Curtis, I think talk about some digital sovereignty.
New managing again. Digital sovereignty. So as Tribal Council knows, I finished my first term, my first 3-year term, and a lot of the work there was that I brought working with Albert, and was making sure that we had cybersecurity concerns covered as we took over business entities and increased our capabilities. So we've done that. Digital sovereignty, you guys have this paper in front of you. This is your crash course, so we've only got a few minutes. Digital sovereignty is up and coming. There's a lot of work around that, but from a United States perspective, there's 4 sovereigns. There's nation states, 1 United States, 50 states, 574 federally recognized tribes, plus other indigenous communities around the country. So the 4 digital categories on the right are big buckets of activity that's happening as everybody gets connected, and then expands all that computing and networking capability, either business-wise or tribal governance or in many ways. So the big digital categories are connectivity, many ways to connect, infrastructure. Think infrastructure modernization like smart grid for energy, smart agriculture. All of that's happening associated with the internet modernization and connectivity that everybody gets with broadband. And literally everybody's getting connected. Information, that's all things digital. A digital system is information. Now the concern here is tribal information. Personally identifiable information, sensitive information. How do we protect our own information? Function is a big bucket. That's think of cloud and mobility. Everybody has their smartphones. That's data everywhere, user anywhere. Used to be, we could protect our network environment and our data behind a perimeter. That perimeter doesn't exist anymore because of data everywhere, user anywhere. Also, artificial intelligence. So the whole goal in this work that I'm bringing forward and moving forward is to make smart decisions. What do we want to do? What do we want to avoid? So the digital sovereign domain underneath there is made up of several sovereign concerns. Tribal self-governance, and I consider that from before European contact, but also the 1934 Indian Reorganization Act that set up tribal structure for tribes to self-govern. It also set up Section 17 corporations like WDC for economic sovereignty. So separating tribal governance from economic development. The baseline is tribal self-governance, cultural sovereignty. So all things like land back, decolonization, language preservation, the Washoe Zujish Gum Tanu, the work that Lisa Grayshield is leading. All of that is cultural sovereignty. Economic sovereignty is building our own capabilities by native, for native. So digital sovereignty is a new way of looking at all this because there's all this technology is impacting all of us. It's basically sovereign self-determination over native owned and operated infrastructure, information, and systems. So the other half on the back part of that, let's see what I got here. I brought a bigger version. And this is what the strategy board looks like. It's a rollout. It's a thank you, Wendy. It's a game board. It's dice and dice cups and rules and cards to play. The main idea here is that this is a continuum. It's not like the strategic planning models of SMART and SWOT. This is generational to be a continuum, so we can actually plan for 7 generations. There's also, on the back of your paper, is a player continuum. 4 levels of play where a beginner looks at goals and opportunities. More advanced as you make progress would look at challenges and improvements. And then a professional risks and mitigations level. And actually that's advanced, but a professional would include all of those conversations. But really consider this designed as a continuum, so we can use it over time and as stakeholders change, as progress is made, as everything is done with the native way of knowing of 7 generations. There's a couple of things I'd like to point out, the pictures that are important. One is the critical infrastructure, that's the communications. A group of Cherokees brought the first phone west of St. Louis in the Mississippi Valley in September of 1885. My great-great-grandfather, R.M. Wolf, is on that monument in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. To me, that's the start of the internet. And so there's the family lineage to carry forward. For people and culture, you'll see our sacred Dawaga. And that was a dawn swim, and I got this picture, and so that's home. Mother Earth is May Lake. It's the geographic center of Yosemite. That's Washoe country. And then air and water is North Shore, Oahu, a great expanse of ocean and sky. And you know, I'm also Native Hawaiian. Now going down to the lower left under leadership, a group of Native leaders went up to Los Alamos National Laboratory to talk about managing the laboratory. These guys were all professional people, World War II veterans, and the man seated is our own John Bertrand Kli'ia'a, Honolelti. And so this picture is to honor those generations back, and is really, it's a Los Alamos National Laboratory public relations picture. But what I want to show is the importance of our lineage, our native lineage on the Salakee side, Cherokee, Washoe. And it's direct, and it's us. And I'm an optimist. There's a future for us here. We raise again and we're by native for native. And that gets into, just to say, all those domains in the in the diagram, they work together. Tribal governance, cultural sovereignty, economic sovereignty, digital sovereignty. With that, I would like to thank you very much for your time and attention. It's an honor to speak with you today. Chairman Smokey, Honorable Tribal Council, Amangwe.
And you're gonna talk about the Washoe Ranch.
All right, I'm here to talk about the ranches, which here the tribe are broken up into 3 separate ranches. The top ranch will be the one in Dresslerville. The middle ranch is here, the one we're on, and Stewart Ranch. I'll start with top ranch in Dresslerville. Over the years, we've had the big storms that come through, and it literally washed out our ditches that feed our 2 main fields up here in the Dresslerville Ranch area. So now with our infrastructure project that's coming in that we got last year sometime, I'm not sure of the date, but we're putting in new infrastructure so we can get water from the river down to the fields below on the ranch house up here, which will help a lot to distribute that water on the fields. We'll have a lot less loss of water due to evaporation, willows, etc. So that'll help out with the ranch. I got to say, over the years, the ranch has been in the red for quite a few years, but now I believe since '08, the ranch has slowly moved and got those red numbers lighter and lighter and lighter. And a few years ago, I don't know exact dates, but the ranch was able to actually break even after a number of years. I believe now that the ranch is actually might be making some money, which hasn't happened in a long time. The head count for our cattle now is anywhere, I don't know exact numbers, but I think we believe we're between 130 to 150 head, which we run on both ends, Stewart Ranch and Upper Ranches here in Gardnerville. But anyway, getting back to the top ranch here, when we get the water in up there, it'll make things a lot easier to get spread out on the fields up there. Our water right up on the top ranch isn't that great. As a matter of fact, we'll probably be getting cut off depending on the river, the flow of the river here this month or next month, how it usually works. Cause, but the last year or the couple of years ago when we had the big winter, that was a whole different ball game. But I was backing up here a little bit. I'm one of the last people here or standing that was able to literally buck bales off of the fields up here in the ranch and fill up both of those barns in the top ranch. There was a handful of us, but there ain't too many of us around. So I have seen this. I've been around the ranch for a long time and seen the ups and downs as the years go by. But I honestly believe that the ranch is on its way back, and to produce for the tribe. I don't know how much or how high it can go, but that's where we're at the top ranch down here. The middle ranch here, we have our cows are up here now. We bring them up here to graze. We have one of the best water rights in the valley here. There's other farmers down the river that have the same water right, but us being where we're located up here where the river comes out of the mountains, we get our water first. So basically we get water year round here in the middle ranch. That's why we leave the cows up here as much as we can. We cut 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe we cut 4 fields here for hay for sale, which we have been selling from the ranch for the past few years now. The 2 upper fields in the top ranch there, I believe we were selling, and we do feed some of it. But The ranch here in the middle is the best water rights, and we use as much of that as we can. We did take some water rights from this property and moved them up to the top ranch in Drusselville so we can have a little more water. This place doesn't have water on this property. We took the water from this property and moved it up to the Drusselville ranch so we can have a little more water up there. But in the years past, people have asked and asked questions and wondering why, why are these fields dry? Why don't we have stuff in them and getting these things going? Well, it's not. It's all about the water. It costs money to put alfalfa in. That's what everybody likes to see, and it doesn't make sense to put alfalfa in and then get it going and start it and maybe get a cut out of it. And it takes a few years for that alfalfa to establish. Years ago, when I was a kid, we were able to do that because we had a lot more water. As time went on, we're getting less and less water, so you lose crops. So now we put in a single type crop, grain. That's a one-time deal. That way we don't raise alfalfa and then watch it die because we can't water it anymore. So that's why we only have 2 fields on top up here that we try to sustain. And here we do grass and alfalfa mix, which is all sold to the best of my knowledge. I'm just starting. I just got on the board here, but I'll have more definite idea of what exactly we're doing with the hay. But I know we were selling it for a long time, and that is with the ranch had very little dollars put into the ranch to help support things. When we get all our hay is sitting outside, it gets wet, we lose a lot of hay. I think we need to look into having more coverage for the hay once we get it. But the hay up here, we get rid of most of it before we lose it. Now going down into Stewart Ranch, we have a pivot. We have a 10-tower pivot that we use down there, which is run mostly off of a well that only produces 900 gallons a minute. We have to pay to pump water from the river into the slough down there, and then from there it goes into the pivot. But when the river goes down, we can't suck any more water out of the river. We got to run the well, and the well was put in probably in 2010, maybe. I'm not sure, but it was put in there, and it doesn't produce what it should. Basically, it was put in the wrong spot. But the pivot field down there, we produce enough hay to feed all of our cows and then some. And in my opinion, we need more infrastructure there, or dollars, I could say, because the pivot is I don't remember when the pivot went in, but it's old, and we're replacing tires, gearboxes, et cetera, sprinklers. But we're able to keep it running. As a matter of fact, we just cut probably a few weeks ago. I don't know what the numbers were on the bales. It varies, but we're able to feed the herd with what we put up in Stewart Ranch. We need more coverage for our hay down there because it doesn't get covered up. The barn is actually full. We've had that thing full and coming out the sides, but it gets wet, and 9 times out of 10 we just cut something and it rains. It's just how it works out. But I believe that the ranch is in a position now to move forward pretty well. We're gonna need some infrastructure for. I believe we're trying to get some of the old feedlots pens going to bring outside cattle in for weaners. That's their new calves when they pull them off of the cows. We're going to try to use that so they can learn how to eat on their own and get away from their moms and gain weight faster so they can go to sale. But as far as Stewart Ranch is pretty much, it's always held its own. It's always produced pretty well. It's just the little problems here and there that the pivot breaks down, but we're on top of that and seem to, when it breaks down, it's only down for a few days to a week at the most, depending on what parts break and how fast we can get it. But I think the ranch is in pretty good position, and it's doing quite well from what I've seen growing up. So That's it for the ranch.
Great, thank you, Stan. Financial information. Go on to the next section. As a reminder, WDC was established to manage the assets of the Washoe tribe, to create economic development, create jobs, and improve our operations to a profitable point where we can generate enough profits to make cash distributions back to the tribal council for distribution to areas of the tribal operations that need additional funding, or whatever the tribal council needs to or wants to do with the dividends. Excuse me. So during 2023, as some of the projects have been alluded to, our major accomplishments are numerous. They're not one at a time, they're all ongoing. So I have to, excuse me, thank Wendy, Jackson, and Albert for the great job they've done in getting a lot of these projects done, because they're ongoing. As mentioned before, one of the major accomplishments was to exit the Porch Creek Band out of the property here at a favorable price on the building. Actually, it was we purchased for less than the appraised value. The Porch Band agreed to carry the loan, so we now have a loan for $2 million for this building. And as Nathan said, we've done surveys to come up with the right kind of tenant to fit in here. We're still looking, and we're turning over all the stones now. So that's ongoing to try and get this building here as to become a profit generating operation. Also, we refinanced the Travel Plaza. There was a loan of $5,600,000 remaining from the New Markets Tax Credit, which were used to build the property, I don't know, what, 2014 or so. So WDC and WRE and the travel group, we got that refinanced. It was very time consuming and a lot of legal problems and quite expensive, but we paid down the loan to $5 million and got it refinanced. So that liability has been taken off of the books of the tribal council, the tribe as a whole. And it also released a lien that the lender had on gaming proceeds. I don't know what they call that fund, but they had a lien on one of our income accounts that's been released. So we've taken that obligation on, and it's off the tribal books. We continue to work with the sawmill to get their operation up and running. And it's finally come to happen that they are now producing lumber, and they actually made their first sales at the last week of May. I think they shipped 2 truckloads, which is a good thing, because it seemed like nothing was happening there for years except a lot of money going out the door. But they are up and running, and the good part is that in addition to them paying the rent, which they've been paying all along, we now start to generate royalties on the gross sales. So that's going to be a nice addition to income. We think that once they get up and running fully, probably that's going to generate about $1.5 million to $1.7 million of additional income into the WDC operation. So that's going to be a big plus for us. It's been a long time coming, but it's there. We actually took a tour of the sawmill today. It's quite impressive. I was impressed. Let's see, we did the sawmill. Okay, and as mentioned before, during the year, we worked with the tribe and putting together a proposal for the Forest Service to get the contract for Meeks Bay. We were successful with some competitive bidders. We were kind of surprised, but at the end of the day, they realized that we had a better bid, so they withdrew they had some problems with our bidding on it, but they finally withdrew them. So we prevailed and got that contract. And I think the Washoe people need to be proud that we do have the right to run Meeks Bay, and we need to be proud of it, promote it, and take care of it, because it is the gem of Tahoe. Just like everybody said, it is the best beach around on the west side. And I think actually I was talking to some friends in Monterey the other day. I said, yes, we went to Meeks Bay to try to get into the beach at 10 o'clock on Sunday, and it was packed. And I asked why, and they said, well, it's so popular that people are lined up at 7 o'clock in the morning to get on the beach. I mean, you can't find a place to put your umbrella and your blanket. So it's popular, and we need to take care of it because it's ours, and we need to be good stewards of that property. Let's see what else here. Forest Service. Our biggest ongoing project is the Albert, am I on? Okay, I'm sorry. My little light's not on. But in any case, we continue to establish our procedures and systems for WDC. We've established separate accounting, separate banking, separate legal services. We have our own HR policies. We have our own employee benefits, 401k, health benefits. So we have set up all the mechanisms to have WDC operate as a separate entity as we manage the assets of the tribe. And we've been working on improving profitability of all entities. We're not quite there yet on getting the accounting fully divided out, but we're close. We figure we'll have it done by the end of this year. We have a draft audit from our outside CPAs who also do the tribal books. It's a clean audit for what we have established with no exceptions. So it shows that we have got the basis set up to properly run our accounting, and to be able to have separate accounting for the WDC activities versus the tribal operations is very important, because now we can see the benefit of what WDC does and generates for the tribe, and it's pointed out some problem areas that need to be addressed. So I think it's good that we've got our financial reporting set up, and I think it's going to be a real benefit to the tribal council and tribal governance to see, how they need to spend the money. So that's ongoing. We're almost there. Having the audit out of the way is a big plus. The accountants will be able to finish auditing the rest of the entities in 2024, because during 2023 they were still in tribal finance, and so they could not render an opinion on what we were doing because it was still under tribal financial control. So we hopefully have that resolved by the end of the year. I can say that in getting these numbers out into the open, we determined that the WDC actually remitted to the tribe $2,788,000, mostly from the collection of sales and excise tax, which is part of our process of collecting those taxes for the benefit of the tribe. Those don't go to WDC, those go directly to the tribe. We provided another $286,000 in indirect cost recovery for the tribal governance. That number is going to go down as we pick up more of the activities ourselves. And then we also generated some profits, which are improving, and those went back to repay accumulated losses that had been indicated by tribal finance over the years. I think when we started on the January of 2022, finance showed that we owed $1.5 million of accrued losses from the operating entities. We've used our profits since that time coming forward. Now that has been zeroed out. We owe the tribe nothing for accrued losses, and everything going forward is going to be positive. So that is also progress. And for 2024, we're projecting that, again, we're going to remit up probably about $2.1 million in excise taxes to the tribe, which is part of WDC's required activity. But in addition to that, we've forecast about $2.4 million in net profit, which is the number that we're going to be using to determine dividends to go back to the tribal council. So, so far year to date, we're on budget for that, and that's the number that we're going to be looking at to make a determination of when we can make a dividend back and how much. But again, it's tied into being able to get a firm handle on our cash flows from all these financial entities. Just because I say $2.4 million doesn't mean that one day it's there at the end of the year. That's not the way it works. You have to accumulate cash, and until we can determine all of our cash needs coming up, We haven't arrived at that figure yet. Because part of it is with our taking on $8 million of debt off the tribe's books. We've got to determine how we've got to make sure that we have enough money to make those payments, set aside some money for further development. And Wendy's going to talk about one of our possible activities that's going to require a big chunk of cash, hopefully down the road. So, but we have the dividend in mind, and we're going to, get on that as soon as we can at the earliest date. I think so far this year, we're on track for our budgets, both revenues and profits. So I think it's looking good to meet our goals. But again, I think as we get this financial reporting cleared up, it's really going to be important that everybody get that information to see what effect WDC has on the tribal financial viability, and when dividends are provided, that the money is used where it's needed. Previously, before this financial accounting split, the issue was that all the monies that came into the tribe, the federal money, the grants, the economic activities, anything else, all went into one big bucket. And no one could really tell where it went once it got to the bucket. There was no breakout that you could really say, okay, this happened, this needs to be fixed. You just couldn't do it because there's no way to tell it. But now we're getting there to where we're going to be able to see where problem areas are and where the needs are and get those fixed. So that's going to be a real plus. So once we get this completed, I think that that for 2024 is going to be a big completed project for us. And I think that kind of ends what I was going to talk about. And I think now Jackson is going to spend a few minutes talking about some of the operations of the entities themselves. So more nitty gritty nuts and bolts. So Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, Tribal Council. Good evening, Tribal membership. My name is Jackson Lewers. I am the Operations Manager for the WDC, and I'm going to go over some of the business operations, the background behind the successes of 2023, and a little bit of insight on some of the, the future outlooks that we have and projects that are really going to help us continue to do great things. First off, none of this happens without some of our team or all of our team, and I'd like to identify the WRE board that is here and present tonight. We have Chairman Carnegie Smokey coming from the back now, Secretary Deborah Keats, and Director Sandra Williams. That's our Washoe Retail Enterprises Board of Directors. We have continuous monthly meetings making decisions on the best way to move forward with Washoe Retail Enterprises. And obviously, a key element to that is the manager here at the Travel Plaza, and part of the WRE is Denise. You've probably seen her at the Travel Plaza, a big part of the team. And then also a big part of our team, Micah Chevron, Elizabeth Ojeda, she's the manager up there. You may have seen her. So I want to identify the team that is here that contributes big time to our success. So, thank you. I will start with the Washoe Retail Enterprises, the Travel Plaza. Big one for us this year has been the transition away from the tribe and under the WDC umbrella for the Washoe Retail Enterprises. Big task, big undertaking, and it has turned out to be, a positive experience. I think the biggest thing that we've had for our employees with this operation is our employees with the WRE now have a 401k, which is very important to keeping good, solid, positive employees and contributing to the success of the business. So that big transition is taking place at the beginning of the year, and as we continue to improve on that transition and move forward, we'll continue to see even further improvements in those profits that we see out of the Travel Plaza. Like I said, big years for WRE and across the board. I think some of the stuff that we've seen, we've kind of grabbed a competitive market again with Travel Plaza. We have a competitive fuel pricing, more competitive. We maintain our profit margins at a continuous basis. One of the big things I spoke about last year was excellence in the basics. And I think that's where we continue to strive from our teams, is really honing in on those areas where we can reduce loss and increase efficiencies. And our management teams are doing great at doing just those things. And it's not necessarily about the new things you can bring on, but the improvements you can make where you're possibly losing some money, missing out on profits. For example, through our team and support here, we identified expenditures for some of the support elements, as far as, example, a fax line that was charged to our Carson Smoke Shop, $700 a month. We were paying for that for I don't know how many years. That's $7,000 a year that wasn't needed. That $7,000 we can commit towards some sort of equipment or improvements on the facility that's going to help us generate more revenue down the road. So that's eliminating that loss, and then also increasing revenue down the road. So those are really the key efficiencies that we are really focusing on. One of our big areas two areas that we focus on, obviously generating revenue, and then the sales tax and excise tax that helps support the tribal government. So in an area we look at those for the generating revenue, it's maintaining those profit margins. And that's where our managers always do great. We get new product. We've seen significant increases in costs for our retail goods across the board, and they continue to monitor those and address those. We try and maintain a profit margin between 40 and 45%. We usually sit right in the middle between about 43, 44, and that really ensures us a consistent line to continue to produce the successful revenues that you see here for 2023. And then the other other big element that we look at is the tax revenues, excise tax and sales tax. Tobacco sales have really decreased over the years, more specifically cigarettes. That excise tax is very beneficial to the tribe. So through some changes in our stores, our managers identified other areas. Micah was a big one this year, and then we've kind of jumped on that for the other stores, and that's covering that loss of excise tax for the smoke tobacco. Through the other tobacco products, we've increased. Micah alone went from averaging about $70,000 a year in revenue for electronic cigarettes. They produced $300,000 in sales last year for electronic cigarettes. So that's just increasing, the product that we have, and grab that new customer. And we're moving the same direction here at the Travel Plaza in that area, and as well as the smoke shop. So those are big areas that we were really focusing on, trying to keep the revenue as well as those sales tax coming in to help support the tribal government side. Meeks Bay, there was a couple of points that we've heard about. We got the prospectus this last year, which was huge for us. One of our big things in this last year and moving forward is working with the Forest Service. We've been able to commit our requirement to commit GT funds, which is our fee to government to improve the infrastructure and buildings at Meeks Bay, and now allowing us to do improvements interior to the interior of the infrastructures. And the big ones we did last year, if you notice, you'll see them here if you're going to make a trip up here during the festival. Improvements to the bathrooms, new flooring. We got rid of carpet. We committed about an extra $100,000 towards improvements last year than that we anticipated, because as we got to do these improvements, the subfloors are old and deteriorating, so we had to replace subfloors. Key things that we need to really plan for in the future that we are now, that are kind of we're trying to catch up on, but really improving Meeks Bay to make it, where it needs to be as we move forward to be a year-round resort. But really, representing the Washoe tribe up there as we want to with Meeks Bay Resort, and which is primary reason we got the prospectus, is because we want to share the culture of the Washoe tribe. So really committing towards the improvements of the operations up there. Big chunks are going towards that. As we move forward, we also have the South Campground at Meeks Bay, so that's a big improvement for us as well. Big things going up there. We have a new manager up there, Jeannie Lopez. She does great things. She's busy right now, our busy season, so that that operation continues to improve, and we continue to look forward to reinvesting into improving that function as well. Overall, big numbers, big success across the board for all our operations, and really none of that happens without the team that we have. I mentioned our managers doing great things, but our staff, I would really like to identify for all the departments and support across the tribe. Our staff is really out there Our stores are open at 5, they're there at 5 a.m. They go home after 10 o'clock, sometimes 11 o'clock, and they really commit themselves. And they're there during the holidays. They're not Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. They're 7 days a week, and they're there during the holidays. We have 2 holidays off that we give them that we're actually closed. That's Christmas and Thanksgiving, and that our team members deserve that. But I just want to say a special thanks to them because they are working the hard hours, the busy times. They're the biggest front-facing employees that we have representing the tribe, and they impact more customers on a daily basis every day by the thousands. I don't know if you notice how busy it is here at the Travel Plaza, and it's getting busier and busier. We're breaking records for sales because we're generating and bringing in new customers. Micah Chevron's the same way. You go through there in the morning and there's thousands of customers going through there every day. So our team works very hard. We have extremely low turnover at both locations. And I think that just shows the success of the management team and the good things that they're doing there. So I want to say thank you to all of them. And I would ask everybody to also, thank them when you go by there because it's hard work. They're very busy all the time. And they're the key reason why we're so successful now and will continue to be successful going forward. So I thank them and I ask you to do the same. For now, that's all I have, but thank you. And I hope you all have a good evening. Actually, next up will be Wendy Loomis.
Thank you, Jackson. Good evening, Chairman Smokey. Good evening, Tribal Council. Good evening, WRE Board, and good evening, membership. And good evening, WDC Board. I'd like to thank Jackson and Albert for all their support. We have a really fun team. We enjoy what we do. We come in every day like, yeah, what should we do today? And we try to get it done. So I hope you've enjoyed learning some of the stuff that we do and that the board does, that your WDC board does. They've told you about what we've done over the last year or so, and Chairman shared with you some of the financial steps we're planning to take. I'm looking at 3 projects right now that I'm going to share with you, things that we're hoping to move forward on. 2 of these are kind of left over. The storage facilities, there's 2 storage facilities, you both know where they are, up towards South Sunridge Drive. And the leases for those were written in 1997 and 1999. So they're quite old. And a couple of years ago, the owners who have those leases asked if they could extend their lease and if they could expand the facility. So we crunched some numbers. We shared it with the prior tribal council, who all agreed that this was not a good business decision to let them extend and expand. We all agreed it would be much better for the Washoe people if we could purchase those 2 facilities. So we are in the throes of research right now. Those leases expire in October of 2026. The owners have reached back to us and said that they would like to sell. And so we're doing the research. We have to get appraisals done to see the value of those properties. We look at the value of the businesses to see what numbers are coming in. And we're hoping to negotiate with them for a really good deal to bring those over to the tribal side. So that's one project we're working on. The second project, as you know, most of the billboards in the valley, if you drive past a billboard, there's a good chance it's on tribal land. So the billboard lease was again written in 1996 or 1997, very old. It's passed different business hands a couple of times. Originally it was Clearview. Now it's Lamar. And last year, Jackson and I had the pleasure of meeting with the 2 reps from Lamar who agreed with us that the language for the lease that was written in 1996 was very old, and it was probably done on a typewriter. And we all agreed that it would be good to update it. The billboards right now could be expanded, and they're open to some of that discussion as well. Right now, we receive an annual payment from Lamar for the billboards, and that is due on August 1st. We are in the throes of renegotiating that lease, and up until presently, they have been paying you $150,000 a year for the flat lease for the billboards. They have 13 billboards, and We are increasing that. That's the same number that they had since back when. So we all agree that it should be increased. And they also do make a royalty payment on that as well. Last year's royalty payment, I believe, was 79,000. So we're hoping to increase the percentage of that to bring that money back into the WDC for operations that then can be turned around back into money, as the chairman explained, for a dividend to pay back to the tribe. So those are the two projects we're working on to bring them current. And the third project is kind of a challenge. It's not really a WDC project, but it's something that we don't want to leave out on the table. As simple as I can, when we worked with Tahoe Forest Products to build the sawmill, a lot of items were delivered to the Clear Creek parcel, and those items had sales tax charged on them. So TFP were told by their auditors to pay that sales tax. And they currently are supposed to pay it to the state of Nevada. Well, we all know that that's tribal land, so we're fighting. We've asked them to hold that money, don't pay that to anybody just yet. I'm working with Joe Donati, your general counsel. I'm working with Travis. We're trying to figure out, is Title 12, which is in your law and order code, is Title 12 registered with the state of Nevada Taxation Department? If it's not, we will get it registered, and then they will be able to pay that money back to the tribe. So that's the simple version. I wish it really is that simple, but it has some roadblocks on it. But we are working on those. Our goal every day when we come to work is, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? How much more money can we bring in for this tribe? And that's what we like to do. I think some amazing things have happened. This board has been fantastic for the last 3 years. I think we've made excellent headway, and we want to continue doing that. We need your help. Jackson and I sat in this week. We both did 2 3-hour classes for your youth. 24 people in the class, 24 17 and 18-year-old Washoe tribal members and descendants. And we had a great time both days. We gave them a project. What should we put in this building? We have little cards with tons of ideas. The next wave of Washoe Tribal Council and board members are going to be awesome. They were so insightful. They were so excited. They want to be involved. They want to know what we do. And I see the future is still growing. I'm getting goosebumps now. I see what this tribe can do. I see what we've done for 3 years through this board and through the tribal councils. We've worked with 2 tribal councils now, and we're going to continue, hopefully, to do that. So that's all I have on those 3 projects. I'm going to pass it back over to Chairman Brown, who's going to wrap up with a summary.
Thank you, Wendy. Well, I just wanted to summarize by thanking the WDC board for their consistent help and idea exchange. I was thinking we meet once a month, and I can count on one hand the number of times that we've had someone miss a meeting, and which is maybe twice in all that time. So we're really dedicated. Everybody brings their experience and expertise to the meetings, and they're really very productive meetings. So I want to thank the board for the assistance, because it's good to work with a functioning board that really wants to get things done. Thank the tribal council for cooperation and helping us get a lot of this stuff moving forward. It's been we've had some conflicts, but we got by them. But more importantly, I want to say that WDC is really working for the tribe. We're here to do the economic development and provide financial stability for the tribe. And as I said before, it takes everybody's cooperation. As the old saying goes, it takes a village. And the Washoe tribe is a village that we really need to just work together and realize that, this is our land, this is our heritage. We need to make the most of it and build as much as we can for the future, because like Wendy said, the young people, the 17 and 18-year-olds are going to be the leaders of tomorrow, and we hope that they'll be doing the right things, and we'll be able to rely on them to keep the Washoe tribe viable. So again, thank you, everybody, and my staff of Wendy and Jackson, Albert, and WRE, and your staff, and just everybody. We couldn't do it without you. So at this point, I think that Chairman Smokey, do you have any comments from the council as being the the only stockholder of WDC?
Sure. Whoa, geez. Wow. Okay, I could add some clarification to a lot of the things on here, but I'm just going to keep it general. One thing is our cows look amazing. We branded last month. They were a little heavy, I know, because I had to be on the ground throwing them down. But that's a good thing. They really really look good, and we turn things around. And one thing I wanted to really put out there, because I still get the same questions, is why do we have a corporation? Why do we have a Section 17 corporation? Why aren't the businesses under the tribal council the way they used to be? Short and sweet, I'll give you the story. So when I first came on board as the chairman, late 2018, I did a presentation in early 2019 to show tribal membership in a tribal council meeting where we were, and without any fluff or trying to embellish or anything, I wanted to show everybody where we were. So I did a printout sheet, and on that printout sheet, it was very basic. It had every business that we have, that we own, that we run, operate, and what were the final numbers for the years. And I went back 7 years, and that paper was bleeding. It was red all across the board, except for the Micah Chevron. It was the only one that made money. Everything else we lost hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, close to $1 million a year. And so right then and there, it's like, okay, what we're doing is not effective. We have to change that. So just happened to the first time that summer, I went to the RES conference, which is the Reservation Economic Summit. It's a one time a year, pretty much always done in Las Vegas. Is a huge summit and conference for tribal economic development. It's the largest in America once a year. And a lot of good information, breakout sessions from very prominent people. I got to talk to, I met the CEO of marketing for Pepsi Company. You know, these are major business people. But at the end of every session that I went to, and this is kind of funny, and not trying to offend anybody either, but at the end of every session, the question always came up that, okay, these things are great, but how do we get around the tribal council? How do we remove it from the tribal council? And this is coming from dozens of tribes across the country, asking that same exact question. The reason being is because having businesses under the tribal council is not a bad thing. If that's what tribal council did, if we had a tribal council that only worked on business operations, made those decisions, we're there to make money, that'd be great. But if our tribal council did that, then what would happen? Then we would have nothing going on in the communities. Then we would have less programs working for the people. So that's why we need a business arm. And that was the reason. And the Title 17 is not new. That was under the Indian Self-Determination Act. So it was a part of it. It was always there. And so I was like, okay, well, these corporations, a lot of these tribes use these corporations as a way to move things at the speed of business and to operate, the businesses instead of waiting once a month for a meeting to make tribal council decisions. And so we looked into it. At the same time, we were reforming our whole structure. A tribe used to have a business operations manager, and on that job description said the requirements were to do everything great. That's all it said, literally. They had no details as to specifically what was supposed to happen. So myself, we had just hired on a new general counsel, and new administrator, because I didn't have a leadership team when I started as the chair. And so once we got together, I pieced together some successful tribes that I know of, tribal leaders that I had met, and I took their job descriptions, and then we created the economic development director position because what we wanted was economic development. And so that's what we did. Took applications. The tribal council did the interviews and then hired Wendy Loomis. And so within after that, Wendy's direction was to, look at how do we start getting into the corporation. And it just so happened that the Washoe tribe had an approved Section 17 corporation from the early 2000s. They did it years and years ago, but we've never used it. But we had it in place. So the Washoe tribe was really into the game and economic development for a long time, but we just never used the structure that we already had. And now this corporation, the title Section 17, is approved by Congress. So it can only be removed by an act of Congress. The tribal council can say, no, we don't want it, we're abolishing it. But that doesn't get rid of it because it takes an act of Congress to get rid of it. Which again, getting an act of Congress to approve it is not exactly an easy task. So really give credit to those previous chairman and tribal council back then for doing so and getting us set in that direction. And after that, a lot of the work and research was done, and really re-educating ourselves on what it is, how we use it, how we set it up. A lot of the details from other businesses were already being put together by Wendy, and we kind of developed it from there. And it was from then convincing the tribal council that this is the good business structure that we need to use because what we're doing isn't working or has not been working for a long time. And we proved that. We proved that with the numbers. And but we were turning things around even before the corporation had started. The end of 2019, we actually went from an average of the previous 7 years, a loss of around $75,000 to $100,000 on the ranch alone. By the end of 2019, we almost broke even that year. So it came really close. It was already turning around. We just implemented a few different little things. This is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to do that. This is when we're going to sell. We didn't. Little things. We didn't have our cattle down on our books as assets. They were expendable. But that's dollar signs. Every calf out there, I mean, you slap $600 on that. That's money to the tribe. And we were abusing that by not labeling them as assets and then just, okay, let's just slaughter a cow. They're out there. Well, we lose a lot of money when we do that. I mean, that's what they're there. They're there for us, but we need to keep track of those things. And just by doing those little things, we were able to really start turning everything around. The casino building, everything. So that's how we kind of came to be in this position. The corporation board has only been in for 3 years. We've been operational for 3 years now. Since then, the little things, you've heard a couple of them, but I want to add some details to it, like especially when it comes to finances. It's within those 3 years, the tribe had a lot of debt because of the, unfortunately, the failed business structure that we had. And I received a letter last year, toward the end of last year, that we had paid off over $5 million of debt. Now, that's great. We did that because of the corporation. Same time, I thought, well, we should have had that money in the first place. We shouldn't have had to pay it back. But it shows that we can do that. So in another few years, we should have an extra $5 million to be able to bring back to the people. It was mentioned really fast, the casino building, the renegotiation of getting the building down to $2 million estimated value that Washoe Tribe would pay for the building. What wasn't said was we were supposed to pay $25 million So that negotiation by the WDC is huge. It's something that we couldn't have done by ourselves. And so those are really big numbers that we've already have already been implemented by the WDC in our business structure. And we just have more good things going. Quick detail also with the plan for the storage units is it was almost kind of a no-brainer with the previous tribal council approving that we should move forward and purchase that instead of just leasing. Because the numbers, again, should we just say, hey, you know, we don't want to mess with it. We'll take $10 million, or I think it was $7 million over the next 10 years by leasing it. Or do we purchase it for 10 million and make 50 in the next 10 years? Exactly. So it's kind of a no-brainer, but we weren't doing that before. We were settling. We were settling for what was given to us, and now we're pushing for what we want, and that's what we need to keep doing, and that's what we've been doing with the WDC. A second reason why we have a corporation, it was also kind of mentioned, but to break it down, is the numbers again. How many times or years as a tribal member have you gone to tribal council meetings and heard the tribal council say that, oh, well, we don't have any money? You ask the question, why don't we buy this piece of land? Oh, we don't have any money. Why don't we do this? We don't have any money. Why come we're not getting a per cap? We don't have any money. It's because it wasn't that we didn't have money. We didn't know where our money was going. We never got to see the full picture because everything went into general fund. And in tribal governments, we know that general fund is the black hole, and that's what was happening. Our money was just coming in, getting absorbed, flowing back into the programs, shortfalls, community budgets, etc. But we never truly saw the dollar amounts that were coming in and the monies that we were actually making. So by now having that separation, we could see dollar for dollar, everything that comes in, collect data on that. Okay, we were low on this business this year. Why? Let's work on that, figure it out, and then make it profitable next year. See, before we weren't doing that when everything was just jumbled together. We didn't see those numbers that way. We just, again, took what we got. Oh, this is the money we got this year. Okay, well, let's work with it. That's not the way we should be doing business. Again, we should be pushing to do better every single year. And by having this separation, that's how we do it. Now, Section 17 corporation is not the only way of doing business. There's multiple ways of that tribes use to handle their businesses. But this is just one, and it's one that is working for us right now. And it's not a stop either. That's not, I'm not settling. I was like, WDC is great, but I want to do more. I'm currently looking at AA contracting, tribal AA contracting. So our sawmill, you know, we partner with Tall Forest Products. They're pushing the wood out. Well, I want the Washoe Tribe to be a certified contractor. So we're taking that wood that comes out of there. We're shipping it overseas. We're doing international business, and we're getting paid 3 times as much as we normally would. You know, those are goals that we're looking for and striving for. Because again, economic development doesn't just stop here. AA might not even be under WDC. It would be its own branch, an own separate arm of the Washoe Tribal Economic Development and Revenue Generating Businesses, LLC, tribal entrepreneurism. We should have an area set up for which we kind of do. Jackson does a great job with helping out, is for tribal members to be able to start their own businesses, but they're all also part of the tribe. We haven't had anybody fully execute that yet because it's a fairly new program, but the opportunity is there. Tribal members starting their own businesses with the backing of the tribe, and then you're giving back to the tribe at the same time while they're making money. You know, these are all programs that this is all new, just within the past couple of years that we've been doing this. But that's just to throw those tidbits out there. For everybody, again, I probably could go even deeper. The prospectus was crazy. Many of you know when, even when I I ran for chairman, and that first year I was freaking out about Mixed Bay because that original contract ended in 2018, and I didn't understand why nobody cared, or at least it looked like nobody cared. Everybody was just like expected. I don't know if they thought that the tribe would magically just get it for another 20 years or what was going on there, but there were some major issues in those agreements, and we got really lucky. And it wasn't just luck that we got the new permit now, but it was the hard work and dedication of everybody that put into it, which was, not just everybody here at WDC, but also what wasn't mentioned is a lot of the tribal administration as well. We had meetings constantly over at tribal headquarters getting that together. Can't breathe real hard in there. Yeah, well, I'll leave it at that. Again, I'll start breaking into all kinds of details of all these things because there's just so much more to it. But right now, everything is going well, and we hope everything, can turn around and become more successful. If you look at your books, your numbers, you'll see an area that has always been not doing good is the Carson Smoke Shop. Hasn't been doing good for a long time, but there are benefits that we still get from there, so we don't want to shut that down. So a lot of details that I could go into, but I just wanted to give everybody that brief history because, again, I still get the questions, and I hope that helps to give everybody a better understanding. I don't know if our recording's gonna be available, then people can listen to it over again. Those who weren't on the line who couldn't make it today. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, Albert will be setting up a YouTube account, and you will be able to view this through YouTube. I'm not going to say after we're done here, but within the next 7 days. There we go.
Yeah, before I start taking some questions here, Everett, would you like to say a few words, being our ex officio WDC board member and tribal council member? You're kind of walking the fence on both sides here, so I'd like to hear if you have anything to say.
Hello, my name is Everett Osorio. I'm the Carson Colony Vice Chairman, as you just said. More?
Here.
I was going. Can you see me now? Kind of hard to miss me, but anyways. Yeah, so this is my first term being on tribal council or community council. I just wanted to give back to my community because I know I sat on the sidelines for a long time, and I decided to join my community council, just to help in a positive way and to possibly kind of, encourage other people in the community to participate more in tribal business and tribal activities. But ever since I decided to do that, flip my life upside down by joining all this, community council, I ended up on tribal council. And then once I joined tribal council, I was, put in my letter of interest for WDC, and that was one of the highlights from being on tribal council so far, because they are pretty nonsense, like they get a lot done in the meetings, and they're pretty straightforward about bettering, our tribal enterprises, and actually, turning the red into green. And it's pretty impressive, actually. And to just know that, our tribe is being turned around for future generations. Like Wendy said, the next generation of hopefully tribal leaders are in the works. So, they lit that flame in the next 17, 18-year-olds coming into, their day and age. So it's, I frequent our businesses all the time. I go in the smoke shop, go into the Tribal Plaza, and also Micah, and everyone there is nice. The facilities are great. And I just can't wait for what the future holds, and hopefully that with the accounts that Chairman Brown's talking about, that we actually see where each dollar is going, and hopefully get a lot of future or get a lot of tribal council on board about what WC has been doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Everett. We'll take a few minutes for questions, and then Curtis wants to say something here before we close out. So are there any questions from the audience directly here? Okay. Anything online, Albert, no questions? Okay. Curtis, did you want to say a couple words before we close?
This work I showed you is finalized, fully copyrighted, and I'm getting ready to see where this goes. I have only 2 of these. One's at home. This I would like to present to Chairman Smokey, just for future use, and offer services as I may in any case. Again, contributing like everyone has been doing, and including tribal council and membership that are here, and a better future for Washoe. So Chairman Smokey. Honored to present this to you. And happy to help.
Okay, well, I think that concludes our meeting. I want to thank you all for coming and meeting you some of the first time, and associating some family names with faces, and it's been a pleasure for me. It's always a pleasure to come home, so to speak, not having lived here in this area directly for a long time. It just feels kind of refreshing to breathe that good old Nevada sagebrush air and see the clear skies. The heat, maybe not so much, but that's okay too. So I want to welcome you to take some food. You can either take it home or eat it here, or just enjoy yourself if you want to hang around. But the food is over there, I believe, and it's for your enjoyment. And again, thank you very much for coming, and we appreciate your interest. And pass a good word to your friends, including the people online. The off-res people need to be part of this also. So appreciate you coming, and that ends our meeting. Thank you very much.